Welcome back. Welcome. I am so happy to be here. Welcome back to Narcissistic. I am your host, Dr. Yaya Marie. I would like to acknowledge my listeners on iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening to me on YouTube, thank you. We're back. We made it. We made it through another week. Please like and subscribe. Share this with someone who may need it. It's very helpful if you just press the like button, share it, and it helps the algorithm. And you never know who may need to hear this message. Because tonight you are in for a treat. We are talking about the dangers of looking back. The dangers of looking back. Some of you are recovering from being in a narcissistic relationship. And of course, when you're out and you're recovering, you're like, oh my gosh, what just happened? A lot of people don't have even the understanding of how did this happen to me? What did I do to get to this point? Now, when you're recovering, isn't it strange that, the narcissist likes to hoover you right when you're at a good state of mind, you're in a good space, you're on your healing journey, and then boom, you get an email, or you just happen to run into them at a store, wink wink. I mean, like the person doesn't know what store you go to. And all of a sudden, you're getting these hoovers, and a hoover is how a narcissist sucks you back in. Think of a Hoover vacuum cleaner. All of a sudden, you're getting these hoovers, and it's coming on so strong, you might be considering taking the narcissist back. I mean, you're probably thinking about the past. Maybe, they just want one more chance. And hey, they're human too. People make mistakes. But what are the dangers of taking someone like this back? Do they deserve to be taken back? Well, let's get right into it. And so right now I'm just going to add some more people to the panel before I actually start. And let's say welcome again. Welcome to everyone who is new that might be listening. You're tuned in to Narcissistic. Yeah, okay, yeah, made it to the live. Yay. And we welcome everyone with open arms. Even if you call in, you don't have to share your name, location, or anything like that. So just, you're in a space to feel comfortable. If you don't want to talk, that's fine too. So first, before we dive into the spiritual aspect, let's look at this clinically. Let's look at this just as just black and white textbook. We know that dealing with a narcissist is not the same as just an ordinary toxic person. This is a real disorder, and I don't think people really understand that. This is in the DSM-5. This is not anything that is just, people such as myself just want to talk about because it's cool or a hot topic or a buzzword. They all have, people who are narcissists have the same traits. And in fact, this is how they are identified, because we know a lot of them don't get the help that they need because they feel that they don't have the problem. It's always someone else. But you can identify them by their characteristics. So say, for instance, they all are on a cycle of the idealized phase, which is the beginning. That's when you're getting your, oh, I just love you so much, all of the future faking, the promises. This is really the honeymoon phase. That is step one. Now, that quickly turns into a devalue. So everything that the narcissist actually loved about you in that first stage, it actually turns into things that they hate about you. So say, for instance, they used to love the way, you cooked or your smile or anything like that. Now you see, wait a minute, this person is not even coming home anymore. I made all of this food, and, then they're saying, oh, well, I ate already out. So they're quickly shifting that admiration for you is turning to hatred. Then we have the full out discard, which is phase 3. in this discard phase, they are actually packing their bags and moving out. They're already gone. Then after that, we have the Hoover, just like how it sounds, like a Hoover vacuum, which is sucks you back in. They're sucking you back up into their web of deceit. And then it goes on and on. It doesn't stop. After that Hoover, you're getting back that love bomb. You're getting back that admiration. This is a cycle that repeats itself. And this is how a narcissist is identified. Okay, so before I go on, would anybody else like to chime in before I keep going on? Let's see who we got here. All righty, Michael.
Oh man, like all the stuff you talk about, like it's always so very relevant to like, where I'm at and like what's going on. And that like packing up and leaving phase is something that like I have dealt with perpetually throughout like this relationship. And I feel like in this position I find myself in, my children are kind of treated like a form of luggage and used as a form of leverage. And
Wow, that's so unfortunate that the children have to, be in the middle of that.
it's it feels impossible. I mean, the thing is that like, I always just wanted to have that, the dream everybody wants, like you have the relationship, the family, and the future. And there was never a time to get to that space and to
Mm,
nest and get there with the kids. And um I often think life and looking back that when we dwell on the past, it becomes our present. And I think that's the real thing that happened to Lot's wife when she turns into a pillar of salt, is that it utterly erodes whatever path you're on and where you're headed. Um, you
definitely.
know, I the time when I started to realize that things were amiss was, after we got married and that sort of honeymoon stage came to a close, and then I felt like I was in a position where whatever I was doing, it was never right.
Hmm.
It was never good enough. I mean, I'm the type of person that will cook, clean, do laundry, work my job. And I started to realize that like as much as I was filling up this person, I wasn't being filled up or met equally.
Yeah,
Um,
that's so true. A lot of people actually say that you're giving more than what you're actually receiving. And that is exhausting.
it leads to a place of burnout, like 100%, and like I was just so when I get lost, there's a couple things I do. I like to turn to the Bible, and my way of doing this is to like open a random page, almost to see like if I can meet the voice of God in the middle. And today I opened to a verse and it said, um, good morals are destroyed by bad company. And I feel like that's one of the things that happens in a sort of narcissistic relationship, or an ego-minded relationship where one person is um, valued over the other, or you're striving to get to that place of being like in an equality or in a rhythm where we're sharing roles.
Yes,
Um,
for sure.
and so we had our children, and then there was this push pull the entire time, and I always felt like the narcissist was my mother-in-law, and her ego and her influence over the house.
So
Um,
that was and the wife, I'm assuming, is the narcissist with the narcissistic mother-in-law. That's her mother.
Absolutely, and I have a tendency to be codependent, and it's just so hard to talk about. I mean, it was just always like this pulling taking place, like And mothers and daughters should have a bond in a relationship.
Oh yeah, for sure. But when they
And
team up against somebody, then really you're talking something different there. I've seen that happen.
it's this thing that like I didn't see coming. And I realized that there was no sovereignty in our relationship in space, and like whatever I was saying was going back to her mother. And I watched her mother pit the sisters against each other, talking bad about one to the other as a form of manipulation and control.
Yeah, that's definitely that triangulation. And it's really unfortunate because you people deal with this, of course, and we have a relationship setting. And then you also find this in family dynamics. So this is like it can, and it also in the workplace. So it can carry over with these same principles throughout, let's see, your entire day. You're going home and you have to deal with it. Then you're at work, you have to deal with it. You're talking to mom or dad-in-law, you have to deal with it. And it could be exhausting. It is really, I mean, I really do feel like it is spiritual warfare because how does this happen?
It's 100% spiritual warfare, and it whittles you down to absolutely nothing.
Hmm.
Like I think about, like, in your book you had discussed like how like it can make someone go insane.
Yes, yes. I have seen people on a 24-hour hold in a psych unit because of a narcissist and the manipulation that they play. People have to be Baker. Well, it depends on what state you're in, but I'm originally from Florida, so we call it a Baker Act. And when you're in that type of hold and you're trying to get your voice heard, I mean, it has driven people literally insane. Some people are sitting in jail right now because they snap. A lot of people can't take the mind games that a narcissist plays. Let's see. Let me ask Dim Eyes. No, do you have anything to add
Oh,
before I
hi.
keep?
Hi, Michael. It's good to
Hi.
hear you. Hi, Jim.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I'm glad we're back live.
Yeah, I know. Last week, I mean, I had some terrible technical things, but we're on track.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
This is like our therapy right here.
Right. Right.
100%.
For sure. Michael, my heart goes out to you. But I mean, I'm just happy that there's a male voice
Yeah.
on here
Yeah.
because I just wanted to interject that because we forget. I mean, I totally didn't even understand that. I don't know why I didn't, but I guess because I'm a female and I've had the experience with the male narcissist that you're so enthralled in your life with these people that you forget that it could be on the female. It could flip on the other side where there's a
Mhm.
female that's a narcissist, and then the male is the personality, like you said, Michael, that does everything, and you give that 80%, 90%, 100%, and the other one's not giving anything to the relationship. So I applaud you for being on this panel because
Yes,
it's
for
difficult
sure.
enough, but it's difficult also to kind of voice this as a male, as a
Mhm.
man,
Yeah,
because
that's true.
it's absolutely encouraging for anyone out there as a male to listen, because a lot of people, it's like the male being physically abused. Like, people don't believe that a woman can physically abuse their husband or their mate, and it happens. But because men are so looked at as being in society the stronger person, the one that doesn't cry or doesn't show emotion, that they don't talk about their abuse. They continue to hold it in and kind of take it.
Mhm.
So this is something to kind of recognize throughout everything, every aspect of abuse, because it is a form of abuse. It's an emotional, if not physical, but it's more of a spiritual and likely everything else under the umbrella of abuse, because
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
disheartening.
Yes, I definitely agree because these days, and we already don't really talk about narcissistic abuse enough, which is part of the reason why I wanted to start this channel because there needs to be a movement in this area. We know a lot about other, forms of abuse, but the deception is so great and the manipulation starts. I mean, I've heard a narcissist say, well, I'm looking for a target. I mean, they don't even look at
Wow.
people as humans. They look at people as someone they can use. And it is very unfortunate because if you don't have the knowledge, you will just, be susceptible to this type of treatment.
Right.
And we want to get the knowledge and the word out there because men and women can be narcissists.
Yes.
And people suffer. People are really suffering in silence because they don't know who to talk to about this, because sometimes it's not physical.
Right.
And if you don't see any bruises, people are like, whatever, but it is it's heavy on the mind games, heavy on the manipulation. And it's a cycle that you have to put your foot down. And for the people that do have children with a narcissist, I really do. I mean, my heart goes out to you. And I can talk about mastering the gray rock technique and things like that. But at the same time, especially if the children are young, my heart just really goes out to people that have children with a narcissist. My goodness, bless your heart.
And especially true if when we talk about looking back,
Hmm.
I might add that it's hard not to look back and to try to put in perspective what's going to happen when you leave.
Hmm.
But like we talk about, that looking back will change you to salt, to
Hmm.
return to stone rather. I mean,
Yeah.
it's sort of like this. I mean, I take it as if you're looking back, it's almost as if you don't trust yourself in moving forward.
Hmm.
When you've dealt with this person so many times, and you take people for, well, I take people for the benefit of the doubt. I don't know about everybody else, but that's that codependency, I think, that plays into that.
Hmm.
But when you're trying to move forward, you kind of, it's almost as if you don't trust yourself to move forward. Like you really want to say, okay, I want to believe this person is true,
Hmm.
but should I? And
Right.
you know all the damage that already has been done, and you have, like we did the last time. I think we talked about what was a tipping point, or what was the thing that kind of that catapulted you to move on. You get so tired of the same old rhythm, of the same old monopoly of them forcing you into believing that they're right. There's this light bulb that goes off. And you're like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
I'm questioning myself. So here we go with the moving forward. You kind of still you're moving forward, and just literally looking back at, well, maybe I should give him another chance. It's a
Mm.
form of abuse, like you,
Yeah.
the same type of abuse.
Because you know what they do? They give those little intermittent future faking with love
Right.
bombs to reel you back in just for a
That's
little
the
bit.
problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the problem. And your tipping point should be that first time that people always say with the physical abuse. If he hits you once, he's going to always hit you.
Hmm.
You have to keep that same mentality. If you see a spade, it's a spade. If you see a duck, if it quacks like a duck. All those sayings that we know of, we have to come forward and maybe write it down or say it again over and over. Talk to it to someone that we know is not going to be so judgmental.
Yeah, that's another
Say
thing
it
too.
around in
A
our
lot of
head.
times when you're talking to family or friends, sometimes you getting looked at like, oh, what do you mean? I mean,
Right.
they can't relate.
No.
And so it's helpful to have a community. It's helpful to have a community like this because we are taking our experiences, we're sharing them, and we are healing. This is an interactive space for
Mhm.
everyone to heal, everyone to feel welcome.
Grateful to have
So,
it.
oh yeah, I'm grateful. I'm definitely grateful to have each and every one of you. So after you get after that last stage, that Hoover, the narcissist does not come back because they want a loving, happy family. They do
Mm.
not come back because they miss you. That is not it. They're coming back to see, number one, what is something I can get out of this person for one
Wow.
last time?
Wow.
What is something that I can extract and just, let me see what they're up to be nosy
Mm.
and see what I can get
Wow.
this time around. So it's not because, oh, they miss you. They miss the supply you have. They
Wow.
miss what you were giving them, what you were supplying them with. But it's not because they want a happy family. Now, that's number one. Now, number two, the narcissist is very revengeful. So you know that when you're dealing with the narcissist, they keep tabs on everything they do for you. They keep tabs on, I mean, just like a running record on how you made them feel.
Mm.
So a lot of times the narcissist takes pleasure in winning you back just to discard this time around even worse. And this is intentional and on purpose.
Wow.
What do you guys think about that?
I definitely think it is intentional and on purpose, and especially when you've gone around the merry-go-round a couple times,
Right.
and the deflection is probably one of the worst parts. I think that the reason Lot's wife turned around is she was afraid. There was like attachment there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I also just want to say thank you guys so much. I mean, I've been really tight-lipped. Like the last 3 weeks have been like very painful for me. And as I'm going through this, I recognize it's just like a growing pain, and I have to just have some acceptance in it and some grace for myself and the situation. As I keep doing what I can do right, I know that I will be in a place where I'll be with my kids, even if it's not the way that I had hoped.
That's for sure. I agree. Because, I mean, with a situation like that, what else can you do? I mean, you want this other party to act how they're supposed to be, how like you just want to shake them, like, come on, hello, get it together.
But they're not like you. They don't want the same things. They're not that person. And I think too, to add to what Michael's saying, in moving on, we have to forgive ourselves.
100%.
We forget that we made a mistake in picking and choosing this person. It wasn't our fault. And I had a hard time with that, because it takes time out of your daily life. It takes time out of your moving forward with someone that may be out there that shares the same things that you do. But at the same time, it is what it is. You have to move. You have to say, hey, okay, I forgive myself. Now that I know there's no coincidence that we're on this panel, that we understand these truths, that Dr. Abi has shared this with us, has learned these things. There's no coincidence to all of these things that we're talking about right now, or even being in this space. So we have to understand that, the Most High is in our presence, and He's helping us forgive ourselves.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And now, when we're talking about, the real reason a narcissist wants you back, and Jessica, you made a really good point with the comment. You know how they discard you and devalue you at the worst possible time. For example, we talked about how it may be your birthday, or you might be even sick, and they will pick an argument while you're actually, I mean, you can be really bad off. And you're like, wait a minute. I mean, I knew of a friend, he had mouth surgery. I think he had a tooth pulled or something like that, to the point where he couldn't argue back if he wanted to. And then he told me, he was like, this person picked an argument with me, knowing that I couldn't even talk. So I'm like, wow, I mean, this guy, I mean, the other party is a real narcissist. Why would you do that after someone gets their tooth pulled and has surgery? And you pick an argument the next day?
They're like,
like, really?
Well, think about like what the narcissist needs. The narcissist needs to know that you're 100% taking care of them.
Yeah.
And so there's a vulnerability and there's anxiety in that moment when they know that you can't. I mean, that really like strikes a chord with me because, you know, there was so much that I endured, and I had kidney stones, and you know, with the kids, I was still doing everything I could do, going to work and so, you know, providing for the house. And I just remember needing to take breaks.
Mm.
And this was before I was diagnosed. And like, you know, I was really having a hard time. And I was told that, you know, she had her period and that whatever's going on with me, I should just work through it.
Mm.
See.
Wow.
And I needed a break. So I asked 3 times for there to be a break. And she was also really pushing us to move from the house we were in. So I'm really like driving myself nuts to keep the relationship together and the family together. And, you know, she was packing my things, and I finally said, like, I need you to go to your mom's.
Mm-hmm.
And the next morning when I woke up, she had left the TV on and left with the kids.
While
And
you're in pain.
while I'm in pain, and she didn't come back. And she came back over the weekend to grab her things. And I didn't have a car at the time. I had been in a car accident. My car was totaled. And I had to get a ride to the hospital. And that's when I found out I had 3 kidney stones.
Oh, goodness.
And even after she heard the diagnosis, she did not come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is such unfortunate, classic narcissistic behavior. You can be on your worst, on your last leg, and they will discard. This is classic. It's mind blowing because who does that? You know?
I don't understand it. I mean, like, you know, if anybody's sick, it could be a stranger, you know, you help.
Right.
That's what you do. I mean, you'd want someone else to do the same for you.
Right. But you know, with the narcissist, that empathy is not there. They don't have the same, we have the ability to care for others, to say, hey, if you need me, I'm there, and, really mean it. A narcissist does not have that empathy. So even with a friend that's a narcissist, you'll see them, okay, well, if I have to help, what's in it for me? Or, it would be an attitude where they're bothered by helping. So that narcissist does not, they don't really have that empathy that normal functioning, people have, which is really unfortunate because they're able to consciously leave and not care. They don't care at all. So back to where we're going about. Okay, so here we go. I'm just looking at my notes here, and thank you. Oh yeah, and Jesse says it's always a motive. That is 100% true. Oh, and hey Jesse, I haven't seen you in a while. I remember you in the first the first show. Let's see. Now, besides the trying to see what they, want to get from you, of course, like I mentioned, they want the revenge. So if you caused something called a narcissistic injury, which is just a term for an insult to them, a blow to their ego. It could be something simple. That will make them want revenge. That will make them turn the tables where they are pursuing you.
Wow.
But you don't know that there's a catch to it.
Mm.
So I like to think of this as, how you have, there's, the wolf and the Little Red Riding Hood, how they were luring in and it was actually a wolf. That's how I like to think of that.
Mm.
So you see this a lot where, I'm a big Dateline ID channel fan. I don't know if you know, I like those crime mysteries. And you're always, most of the time you're seeing cases where the person is saying, well, we didn't have a lot of problems. It's like they just snapped. Yeah. Well, that person was harboring resentment toward you for a long time, and they held on to it.
There's
right?
no such thing. It's just snap. It's been
Yeah. They held on to that and wanted to get revenge. They waited until you were good and comfortable in that relationship before that mask came off. So the narcissist they can't have this mask on for a long time. Their true colors are going to show. You see what I mean? And it's horrible because each time you take this narcissist back, the treatment gets worse and worse. Why? Because they see you are now comfortable and that you're now going to take what they dish out. For example, if the person is, let's say, just emotionally abusive and you take them back, it gets worse because that narcissist knows, oh, I can say this and they're not going to do anything. And they're going to push that envelope. And by that time, you're already settled in the relationship. And the future faking comes so quickly here and there. It's just enough to hold you in there in that toxic relationship. Okay, so then when we parallel this with scripture, we're taking a look at how Lot and his wife, God actually sent angels to lead Lot and his wife by hand, I may add, out of Sodom. Now, as they were leaving the city, Lot's wife looked back. It isn't clear why she looked back, but we can speculate that as she was escaping, and this was really only by God's grace now,
right.
she looked back to see her old life burning to ashes. Now, what do you do when you're looking at something that's, you're looking back at a fire? What do you feel? A lot of people feel pity.
Right.
You may sympathize.
Right.
Okay. So Lot's wife may have looked back and sympathized with those wicked people. You see?
Wow.
Now, let me tell you, this is going to blow your mind. When I came into this revelation, I will never forget. And I have not told anyone this except for here right now. You've heard it first. So I dealt with a narcissist before a really long time ago. Now I had pity on the narcissist because they were dealt a bad hand in life. So I remember one day after the whole discard went down, and I was just thinking in my mind, wow, like who does that? Now this was, a really long time ago, years ago. And so I remember thinking to myself, wow, what just happened? This is a natural reaction.
Right.
So I can come to you with, this side of the fence and also the other side, because yes, I've been there too. Now I distinctly remember, it was the voice of God said to me, and I knew it was his voice because when I heard it, like my mouth dropped because I was surprised. I did like one of those Betty Boop moments, like when you're like, oh my God, like, yeah. He literally said to me, he said, the first time I put him in jail, this person had a really disgruntled past.
Wow.
And he said to me, this time you do it. Exactly. I did that what you just did. I couldn't believe I was like, and I looked around, I stopped the car.
Wow.
Because I know what I heard. And as a human being, we're so, we are compassionate. That's normal. This is our normal. This is nature.
Yes.
But when I was reading,
somebody does you wrong, you're still compassionate.
Exactly. I wouldn't want to see anyone, in prison, And so when I was reading about Lot's wife and her looking back, I said, this lady has sympathy. She had pity.
That's how I felt. I took it as too. Yeah.
You see, so it could. Yeah. But I had to definitely share that one because I really truly feel that's why she was turned into that salt, that pillar of salt.
Like not to have pity on somebody, was she being punished?
Well, the pity was, think about, okay, Sodom was a wicked, wicked city. Sodom was so bad that when the angels came to get them out of that city,
Mhm.
the people there lusted after the angels.
Oh,
They wanted to have
Mhm.
intercourse with the angels.
wow.
So think about they were dealing with some heavy,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
heavy,
yeah.
right?
The world sugarcoats it, but it's despicable.
Yeah, they were dealing with some, really heavy things back in Sodom.
Wow.
So when I say Yahuwah, I have a Hebrew background. When God destroyed Sodom, it wasn't so they can have pity. It wasn't so you have to think when you're reading the Bible, a lot of times in the Old Testament, when God would come in and slay different areas and cities, he would even say, slay them all, even the children.
Hmm.
And that's what happened with, who was it? Saul. He didn't kill all the Amalekites. He had pity on them. And look what happened to him.
Wow.
So you have to think a lot. Sometimes it's our human nature that is preventing us from actually moving forward, because the narcissist is already, leave that up to you. Leave that up to God. Leave it up to God. He's the one that will deal with the narcissist. Yes, you can pray for the narcissist. Yes, do that. But as far as looking back and trying to change, or I feel, no. Get your stuff and you have to keep pushing. Now, if you're having, there's situations where, I mean, a lot of people, especially on my TikTok, they have children with the narcissist. I mean, the most I can say is once you get your court, situations together, you do what you have to do by the land of the law, and you go on through that motion. But as far as looking back to have a relationship after what God has pulled you out of, and let your eyes, your spiritual eyes, he opened them.
So no visitation at all with the kids.
No, I would no. You visitate your children. You're doing the laws of the land. Like you do your visitation, but as far as getting back with the other parents,
I got you. Okay.
And you're thinking that this person can change. Now, could a narcissist change?
Oh, no.
I am of the opinion that they cannot, but I haven't seen. What do you guys think? Do you guys think a narcissist could change? Do you think, and anybody, what about you, Michael? Do you think that?
I mean, I'm always like such a hopeful person. Like I always hope that everybody's capable of redemption. And I think that's one of my things, like, like you'd probably be like, well, damn, that's just like Lot's wife, right?
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
But it's not like just something like I was thinking about when you were talking about Lot's wife, a little bit unrelated, is I always, whenever I hear that part of the Bible, I also think about when Jesus is walking on water and Peter walks on water.
Oh yeah.
So all the other apostles are stored up on the boat because they're like nervous, they're afraid.
Right.
They won't do it. They won't step out, right? And that's like the first steps away from like that fear, And Peter gets chastised for having little faith from Jesus, but the thing is that Peter actually stepped on the water and walked on the water.
Yes, he did.
And so the thing is that what he did was he didn't focus on the light. He didn't focus on Jesus. He looked up at the storm and he looked down at the water and he was in it above his head. And that's just like what it is with Lot's wife. It was like the course and the plan was set for her. The trajectory was there to exit.
Yes.
And there was an attachment, whether it be hope, guilt, shame, whatever it was, and it just totally destroyed her.
Right. Yeah, that's so unfortunate too. I mean, she had angels guiding her by, her hand.
Wow.
It's so interesting how that's a good parable to how we trust too.
Exactly. That was my point earlier. Like, are you trusting in yourself to move forward? Or are you trusting in your move? Are you trusting in the angel? What are you trusting? You're not trusting in something to look back. Something you're faulting yourself. Like that's what I was trying to say earlier. Like, what's the issue?
I've been going to mass recently, and that's like a little bit, it's something I haven't done in a long time. I was raised Catholic, and so like I feel like there's a lot of things that are like wrong with that model of faith, and it's what I'm most used to. But I kind of just started to, like if you pick up a stone, I am there, kind of look for God everywhere else. And at the last mass that I was at, the priest was talking about it was I think it's John chapter 20, and it's Easter, when Jesus is being crucified, and the apostles are so afraid they lock themselves in. They close the doors, they close the windows, and they're like petrified with fear. And Jesus even comes to them, and there's like a bit of doubt there that like the Spirit is with them, the Holy Spirit is with them, and as the priest described it, the wind blew the doors open and the windows open, and moved through them and pulled that fear right out of them. And it's to trust in the faith is just like being in the wilderness and recognizing that you just got out of something terrible, and there's going to be a season that could be financial, that could be anything, but when you keep moving, there's going to be something that will be better for you and everyone that's important to you in your world.
Definitely. So, because when we bind our plans with the man above, Jeremiah 29:11, he knows the plans that he has for us.
That's right.
And it is not to be tortured by a narcissist.
Nope, not at all.
I can tell you that right now. No. He would not want us to suffer. He doesn't.
That's not love. That's not love at all. That's not caring. That's not being, intimate with someone.
Right. 100%.
Constantly trying to think about how they can abuse you.
Yeah. And I remember. Also, I wanted to pose this a question before we move. Before I go on to the next layer. Now, we just talked about the pity and the sympathy. Now, also, what if looking back at the place that God delivered Lot's wife from, what if that was a symbol of her ungratefulness for not realizing that she dodged the bullet? So how many of you are, I know, right? Isn't that something? What if she didn't realize the magnitude of, wait a minute, my life has just been spared.
Right.
My life has just been actually spared. Some of us have literally dodged a bullet from a narcissist. And I'm talking about literally. I mean, if you would have answered that Hoover one more time, that would have been it for you. If you would have opened that door, it would have been it for you. So what if her looking back was a symbol, or it was really a symbolizing that she wasn't grateful for the Most High sending angels to guide them by hand out of that wicked city, out of that.
Yeah, she wasn't grateful. She didn't trust the process, obviously.
Yeah, that's true.
For her to look back.
Yeah.
It was the process. I mean, thankfully, I was in a relationship. The last one was 3 years? He says 4. But I remember in the beginning, I said to him, I'm going to give this 2 years. And if we're not moving forward from there, and I mean in marriage or buying a home together, then I'm out. I remember saying that. And somehow it got to be where it was, that love bombing stay on. I didn't know that I was a setup
for
this type of behavior. But he already had his intentions.
That's why I love this type of knowledge, because, these people don't change. This is the same cycle. As I mentioned before, I was talking to someone who said they dealt with a narcissist in 1969, and they'd never forget that. Wow. And I was just like, whoa.
So they were still in a relationship with him?
No, but he was so scarred from that experience that in 2023, he's remembering 1969.
Yes, because that's how profound the effect it has on your psyche, on your mental, your spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been out of there, 10, 15 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
on this platform, I still recall the whole scenarios of those things. I remember after the relay, I went on, I finally cut it off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I talked about this the last time or time before, that this guy, after I left, I won't even say that we broke up. After I left,
Yeah, you have to be the one to
I
leave.
was the one to leave because he was still thinking that we were going to go back and forth, because I did it a couple times. That he texted me that he was getting married. He didn't want people to know, that told me that he was getting married. It was 2 years after the relationship was
So that
over.
was a Hoover. He didn't care about that. Was just a Hoover to see
I was
where.
like, I'm not looking back to this. I've sent a text saying, you have the wrong number.
That's how you.
It was so funny. But I had the support of my colleagues, because I talked about this situation with my colleagues and friends. I was like, can you believe? They're like, what?
That's the new slogan. You have the wrong number.
Yes, I texted. And this fool emailed me after the same text was on the text. He emailed me the same identical thing on the email.
Oh, so he wanted to make sure that.
I was like, who's thinking about you?
See, this is.
Oh my God, it was crazy. I did not look back.
Yeah.
I didn't respond. I didn't respond to the email. I just let it go. I'm like, okay, whatever, great. The poor person. I remember the last part of the relationship, I said, whoever you meet, if I meet her, I'm gonna shake her hand.
So put up with that, huh?
Put up with you. That's how he knew I was done, because I knew his whole little facade.
Wow.
I did not look back. That's how you know I was done.
Yes. You don't entertain it. Don't entertain it.
Exactly. You're done. When you're done, you're not looking back.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying your truth and you're moving on. And then they hate that.
Yeah. You don't have to get the last word. And there is no closure with the narcissist, because they want to keep you on this cycle.
That guy was so outdone that I didn't even respond to the email. I mean, I'll hear little things about, he married the person. He would say to me, I would never marry, quote unquote, never marry. Found out he married that same type of person.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, it was something else. I mean, this has been almost 10, 15 years ago. Have I recovered? I would like to think so, but I never thought that I had to say these things to feel like I recovered. I've always kept them in my thought pattern, and I know that I had to move on, and maybe that's a part of not looking back. Think about it.
That is very true. And there's Annie. Let's bring up Annie to the panel.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Welcome back.
Welcome back, Annie.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
How's it going over there? And our topic is looking back. I mean, you've heard some of it. I mean, we are on fire. I hope everyone is enjoying listening. Make sure you hit the like button, okay? And what's going on with you over there?
I came in the call late, but just the last piece that the sister was just finished speaking, and she was saying that she didn't even listen to him, and she was, that's how I knew she was done. I thought about in my past relationship when he was telling me he could still have me, and I was saying, no, you can't. And he was saying, yes, I can. And I said, I don't know why you think you can. He said, I know I can because you're talking to me.
Oh.
And that's how I felt when he said, I was like, I didn't even know what to do with that.
You did a Betty Boo.
Yeah, like I did. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, goodness.
Wow. But that also stems from, once you're involved with a narcissist, they view you as their possession, like a collectible item that they'll have forever.
Put you on a shelf. That's the shelf theory.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
But little did he know that helped me, because then I was able to say, okay, thanks for that information. I will not entertain your phone calls anymore.
Mm.
That's right. That's how
Mm.
you do it. And that's, or you say you got the wrong number. I like that one.
Yeah.
What? I was like, who is this? I had to look at the number because I deleted everything. Like, I had to remember who the number was. I said, wait a minute. I know that number. Because I was like, that was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Mm.
I went on. And even when I wasn't even in a relationship or anything, I was just, we're moving on with my life.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have to go to another relationship to move on. That's another.
Oh, and I would recommend that people don't, because once that relationship ends, then you're still going to be grieving the narcissist, because you're attached on to that new person, but you did not actually fully get over the narc. You use another person to get over someone else.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
you end up in a trauma bond.
That's right. You're clinging to that other person. You're like, oh, don't leave. Because you
Mhm.
haven't really left that narcissist.
Yeah.
And that may make you look back and go back and be that pillar of salt again.
That's right.
Yeah. And I know that I have done that before. Um gotten into another relationship or a situation too soon, and then it didn't work, for a number of reasons. But looking back, I would say it didn't work because the love bombing is an addiction. It can become
Yes.
an addiction.
Mhm.
And it's such an adrenaline rush that someone likes you so much,
Mhm.
then
Yeah,
you're looking for that
that's
in
right.
the next relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point right there. I like that. Wow. That's so true.
That's like an addiction right there. I mean, it's the same thing like when you're on drugs. I mean, you're getting like the cortisol from the stress of the fights, and then you're getting followed up by the oxytocin
Mhm. Like
part of
that
it.
high. Yeah, for sure.
You're looking for that original high,
Hmm.
Yeah.
that
Wow.
thing that pulled you in.
So also we have now, when you're thinking about, also there's one more point. I'm just looking through my notes. Her connection to that city, her looking back to it, represented the connection, say for instance, to the narcissist. So if you do have to co-parent or you're on a job with a narcissist, you have to take out that emotion that you have tied to that job, tied to that other parent, tied to that narcissistic sister or brother. Take out that emotion so that you're able to interact just as, a regular. I mean, this is if you definitely have to take out the emotion out of the interaction, so you won't have that connection to that past. I hope everybody's understanding, what I mean in that instance. Also, you have to, as you're recovering from this, recognize that knowledge is power. Knowledge is freedom. And scriptures say, through knowledge will the just be delivered. So this is the knowledge you're gaining is freeing. Like, this is what you need to not look back. You know that once you figure out, okay, these people are not going to change. This cycle is going to go on. Someone emailed me, this lady's in this relationship for 13 years. 13. She's been dealing with this cycle.
Wow.
The idealize, the devalue, discard, and hoover over and over and over. Can you imagine that for 13 years?
No.
No, I can't. I cannot.
No.
So if you have to be the one, I cannot stress that enough. You have to be the one to recognize this is a cycle. This is not just a toxic person. This is a narcissist. And this is how they are identified. It's not something that, well, he's just, or she's just having a bad day, or, they've been through a lot as a child. No.
No. So beyond that.
Right. This is beyond that. And if you don't leave, or you don't have the knowledge to recognize it, these people will pull you down. And do not try to wrestle with the narcissist. They have been doing this their whole life. They're better off just, realizing what it is and recognizing these traits, so you won't be in this situation again. So we won't be in this situation again. Getting familiar with the traits and things like that, the knowledge is how you're going to leave. Someone actually said to me, oh, well, it's easier said than done. Well, listen, that in a way it could be true, because this is a new way of thinking. And you don't always want to think that that people are out to get you or anything like that. But once you recognize these symptoms, for instance, in that first stage of when you're learning someone and you're getting to know someone, they're hitting you with that love bomb really early. Come on, that's a red flag.
I had a guy to say to me the other day, you need to get to know me.
Oh.
I was like, oh, no, I don't.
Would like a random person say?
Yeah, I went out to get a bite to eat, and the guy I was standing in line, and he came up to me. I'm like, okay, why is he coming toward me? Because I'm always on guard of somebody walking up to me.
Yeah.
And he's like, do I know you? I'm like, no. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, I don't. You don't look familiar to me. And I was trying not to be rude. I'm really, really trying not to be rude, because I said he was about to happen. And because it wasn't my type, first of all. And then it says, well, are you with someone? I says, well, not right now. I'm getting something to eat. He's like, oh, I mean, are you dating? I was like, yes. And he goes, well, whoever that person is, you need to get to know me. I'm like,
oh my goodness.
No, I don't.
Isn't that kind of pushy, huh?
Pushy. That was a red flag to me as to your book when I was reading your. That's why I have your book as a reference.
Yeah. Oh, shameless plug here. Please go. Speaking of books, please make sure you get a copy, because this right here that we're talking about, this just scratches the surface.
Love it.
I actually go as deep as I can and put it in words where, a person who does not have this type of knowledge, you can read it and understand it.
Yeah. I read the book and I did the Audible as well. So
and it's also an Audible. The Audible was just yesterday.
I just saw that. I go, oh, wow, great.
Because, we want to, I like to listen to my books. And the book is called When Satan Plays Matchmaker, Exploring the Spiritual Side of Narcissism. Let me tell you how powerful this book is. The person that did the voice for the reading, because it's not my voice. I wanted someone, because on Audible, of course I wrote the book, but on Audible, I didn't want to read it. Because I'm like, I don't really like my voice like that. And I wanted to have a mystery sounding voice, because I love those crime shows on ID Channel. But the gentleman who actually read and produced it, he said to me, he was like, you did a good job on this book. I kept thinking about things in my life. Mind you, this is not anyone that's a believer or anything like that. He said, I keep thinking about a certain person in my life. This book is very well done, well written. I mean, he gave it, stars, and all he was doing was reading doing the voice.
I like his voice too. Was he like a random person? Or he's like who is he? Like, he's good.
Yeah, I guess you can say random, but when you're going through the production with Audible, you get to choose the gender. You get to choose if you want a mystery tone or drama tone. You get to choose things like that, the age range. And I knew I wanted an older gentleman with a mysterious type voice. And I chose, he auditioned, I chose him.
Very good. Very good.
Okay, getting back to the topic. Okay, shameless plug. Help the girl out.
Shameless.
All proceeds help get new computer equipment, because I'm always.
I know.
Okay.
I do have a question, because it's like now in dating, there's a caution, and I think there's a fine line between love bombing and someone having a genuine interest. And
Right.
I don't know if I know the difference anymore.
That was hard for me when I saw that one coming. I said, okay, this guy's had a line. He definitely had a line. And it goes back to, I think, if I interject, Dr. Abby, it goes back
Okay,
to your
go ahead.
type. To me, like if he's not, you go back to what you believe in. If he's not your type and you know he's not your type, you go with that. This guy was not my type. He might have been 10 years older, looking like he was in I don't know, like in the 1970s, but in 19
No. Say how he was looking so we can have a little laugh.
I mean, I'm about to be. I can honestly say I'm about to be 60 this year, and I can honestly say, and I can say that I pat myself on the back that I look like I'm probably in my late 40s. You know, I work out. I'm energetic.
Yes.
And everything. You know, I don't. I'm not. I'm okay with that. But this guy looked like he could be. When I met him, when I saw him, he was in a, what do you call those little
So he
outfits?
was looking for a nurse for him.
Well, I know I can't say that, but I could tell that he could be energetic, but he looked like he was trying to be a R. Kelly in a 70s body.
Also, he was like back in the day type.
Right. Like,
Yeah. Like he didn't really grow up from a certain
right.
era.
Especially when you come with that line, do I know you? Like,
Right.
no, boss, no, I don't know you.
Said,
No.
all right, that's funny.
That was the early 70s line.
Really?
Like, no, you don't say that anymore. I don't, no.
Yeah, the way he approached it was kind of yeah.
Hello, how you doing? All I need is hello, how you doing?
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I know you. No, bro, no.
For me, I always meet people who are physically, their appearance is my type.
Right.
So that's not,
There we
for
go.
me, not the issue. But it's once we start communicating,
Exactly.
it's like it's hard to tell. Or is it that he's
That-
trying to play hard to get? Because I say a lot of modern men are sassy. So I don't know.
That's why I felt like he was sassy. I think he was upset. He was actually rude when I
Oh,
rude when I
so
declined.
he was offended.
He was offended because he got loud. They said, "Oh, yeah." I'm like,
Oh goodness. Oh wait, Jesse said, go ahead and give Uncle a chance.
that's how I knew for sure that he was that type of person because you get loud when I disregard you
Ooh,
and say
yes.
no, don't do that. So I just let him have his little game, and I went on about my business, and he left the area.
Oh
But
goodness.
that's how I knew. Not
Yeah.
I don't try to be polite just to hone in on how you're going to react.
Right.
I don't give up my number like that.
Yeah.
Don't
Because
do
that's really bullying. I mean, like
Exactly. You're not
Yeah,
gonna count on me in. It's a easy. How you doing? Hello.
mhm.
You're here often. Boom, boom, boom. Other than that, you're not gonna get anything out of me.
Yeah. And I really do think that even like what Annie said, how do you know if you're, being future faked or they really genuinely want to get to know you? I think there's a few ways. One possibly would be, let's say if you guys are talking for a bit and they, plan something in a reasonable amount of time, plan, I don't know, somewhere to meet your something, or travel somewhere. One red flag would be if they don't have the means or they don't have, let's say they're talking about going out to a restaurant, which is really pricey, or but they know that you like it. And they talk about it a lot, but they don't never execute. And they don't really, they're portraying that they have something, or they're portraying that they are something and they're not. Besides, also with the love bombing, just doing too much too soon. Just doing too much too soon. Like it's just too much.
Right.
You're like, okay, well, what are we rushing for? Like, where are you going? Are you going somewhere? Are you going out of town? Like, what's going on?
Right. This is like a whole other show, I think.
Yeah, that is very true too. Yeah. But but it's really a lot of people ask that because in this day and age,
it is hard.
It is very hard. And it's hard to meet people too.
It is definitely a hard endeavor after we know all that we know now.
Yeah. Jessica said I had a boyfriend send me flowers on Valentine's Day with no card. I knew he was playing a game to see if I had anyone else sending me flowers.
There we go.
Nobody has time for it.
Yeah.
I mean, doing things intentional to see if we don't know.
You got to make that another show. You got to make another show. Got to make this one.
Yes, because that's ridiculous. Okay.
Talk about for real.
Yeah. Now, as far as here's a tip to give you about not looking back and the dangers of it. We see things happen on these crime shows. People end up missing. Families, are losing loved ones to partners or people that are in a partnership with a narcissist. And they're always like, oh, well, we didn't see any signs. Well, I bet you didn't, because when the person is coming to talk to you, it's sort of like they, not to say they turn their back, but a lot of people just don't want to hear it.
True.
And some people just can't relate, or, they don't want to get into anyone's business. But it's really important to not ignore these red flags. And once your eyes have been opened, you have to gain more knowledge on this subject and realize that they will not change. Okay, so next time you're able to notice a pattern. Does anyone have any last closing remarks on not looking back with the narcissist and what happened? If anybody did look back and something did happen, or how did that? Anybody?
I do have one. I don't know how much time you have. If you have like
no, go ahead. Yeah, we're fine.
That I have dated two narcissists. I know I married one, and the one I dated before. But I wasn't familiar with the term narcissist or what it even meant until I got married. So the person I dated, I met him, and right away, he was at the time my daughter was probably like 2, and he just like love bomb. He just showed up I was in North Carolina staying at, with my friend, and he showed up at her house with Winnie the Pooh chair for my daughter, tons of clothes, shoes, all this kind of stuff. And
how long have you known each other at that point? I'm curious.
A week.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So I was like, wow. I just, I was like, okay. And then he just wanted to spend every day with me, and I just thought that he was like amazing. I'm like, this guy is amazing. So then things started like to unravel. So he asked me to go to New York with him. So we go to New York, and he says, I have to go pay this ticket that I got. I said, okay. So he goes to pay the ticket. Next thing I know, I see him walking by with the police in handcuffs.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, what's going on? And am I going to be stranded in New York? Because I rode here with this person. And, so like an hour later, he comes back, and I'm asking what happened, but he didn't want to talk to me or tell me about it. So, and he was really agitated, which was different because I'd never seen him agitated before. So then we get back to North Carolina, and I noticed he starts sleeping a lot. Like if he would sleep 8 hours, normal 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours, he'd wake up, get himself something to eat, and he would go back to sleep for like another 6 hours, and he just kept sleeping like that.
Oh my God.
So I was in the kitchen talking to his mom, and he was jumping in his sleep. So I told his mom, I said, I think he's having a bad dream. And she was like, yeah, it looks like it. And I said, he told me sometimes he has bad dreams about when he got shot. And his mom was like, what are you talking about? He's never been shot.
What?
Oh
So
man.
he showed me like 6 scars on his like legs and torso that were gunshot wounds. Well, I mean, they were deep scars, so I believed him. I had no reason not to believe him. So she said that, and I was like, he's never been shot. And so I was like, okay. So I ran that past him, and he was like, because when I was out in the street doing things, my mom never knew what I was doing. And I was like, oh, okay. But I was thinking to myself, but if you were in the hospital and you were shot, your mom should know that. So, but I'm like, okay. So then he I'm trying to sum up the story because it was all these little things that wasn't adding up, and it was like a whole nother personality was
Wow.
coming out. And this one was like behaving, kind of street, and
Where
just
were the
doing
scars
things
from?
that
If he wasn't shot, was he stabbed or something?
no, nothing. It was like his mom. I asked her about the scars and stuff, and she was like, "Oh, it's just stuff you get from childhood,
I was about to say it's childhood scars.
Oh my goodness. That's why I'm like, see the lies
He's
that
a
they.
narcissist too. His mom's a narcissist too.
I'm like, yo,
So
what in the world?
So then it was storming one day, and I had brought some clothes over to his house, and he was like, "You can wash your stuff over here." I said, "Okay." So my daughter and I we go over there, and then he wanted me to give him a pedicure, and I didn't want to, and it started an argument. And I never saw that side of him. It got real. He started saying I was selfish. He started calling me like names and stuff. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go. And he was like, I said, because this is not working for me, so I'm gonna leave. And then he came over, he snatched me, he threw me against the wall. And this is a big man, because he used to play football. And I was not a big woman, just very I was probably at that time, maybe I'm 5'6", I was like 130. And he starts choking me, and this is going on for like hours. So then he comes in the room and he starts choking me, and I'm blacking out. And my daughter is sitting on the floor. And I was thinking to myself in my head, like, what have I done? And what's gonna happen to my baby? And I said to her, because it was starting to get black in the room, and I said to her, I love you. And when I said it, I must have said it out loud, and he let go of my throat. And
Wow.
I guess he thought I was talking to him. And he got off my throat, but he kept coming in the room all night, just being verbally abusive. And I had my daughter just like under me, so I was making a plan. So when the morning came, I cooked breakfast and everything, and I fed my daughter, and he was like, "You selfish bee, you didn't make me anything to eat, and you're just eating." I said, "No, I put your food in the microwave. I was just wanting you to sleep." So I brought him his food, and I told him, I said, I was working on your resume, so I'm going to go to my girlfriend's house, and I'm going to get your resume, and I'll bring it
Mhm.
back. And he said, okay. So that's how we were able to leave.
Wow.
And so um, I had driven out there from Atlanta, so I had my car. So I drove to my girlfriend's house, and she was out of town for a family reunion. I just wrote up a note really fast, and I started throwing my stuff in my suitcase. And I called the airport, and I told them what happened, and they said that they would give me a ticket to California, and where my family was, because I was trying to go back there. And they said if I come, they'd fly me to from Raleigh to Charlotte. So um, I knock on the neighbor's door, and I asked him to please take us to the airport. And he was like, "What happened to you?" Because I had bruises all over my neck and my arms. And I told him, and I said, "Please." And he said, "Okay." So we get in his car, and I get in the back seat. And soon as he pulls out the driveway, I see him coming down the street, and I just lay down in the back seat so
So
he
you
didn't
got
move his
away
car.
just in time.
Yes. And then when we get to the airport, and we make it there, police took my statement and everything, and then we leave. When I got to California, my mom said some man has been calling the house view. I don't even know how he got my parents' information.
Because
But
they're stalkers. A lot of them keep tabs on the family members too, just in case they have, no way to contact you.
mhm.
They're always in contact with someone that, knows you or is around you or close to you.
So he called, and I answered the phone. And well, my friend had told me he stalked her house. I apologized to her and her husband for bringing that, to their home.
Mhm.
And but the least a good thing was that they were both in the military, so they had weapons and everything. um then he told me, and he said he went to the airport, but he went to the main airport, and they sent me to one of those small airports with
Yeah.
the small planes. He said if I had caught you at the airport, I was going to kill you.
See, I'm telling you, a lot of people have literally dodged death because the narcissist is so diabolical.
So are all of them like this? I mean, I never thought of the one I dealt with to be a killer or one that
No, no. I mean, all of them, of course, there's degrees. I mean, not all of them are, murderers. No, of course. No, no, no. Some of them are not close to that. It's just some of
It's
them
a
are.
gamble.
Yeah, some of them are, some of them aren't.
wow.
It's a gamble that's not worth taking, because I my whole the muscles in my body, everything felt like a meat tenderizer had just grinded. The
Wow.
fear was so intense. I would never want to experience that level of fear ever again in my life.
Hmm.
Wow.
And it makes me nervous because then I get another one, and
Mm.
not to not as crazy, but still there's, they do damage. Whenever you come across one and you're in a relationship with one,
Right.
they do damage.
Mm, 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 mm. Well, that's so unfortunate. And I'm so sorry that actually happened to you. And I am glad that you got away.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I
Wow.
just think,
Oh, I can't imagine.
how's your daughter doing?
My daughter is totally fine. She was too little to even remember anything,
Right.
or and that just, even when I did get married, I never let him around my children,
Uh-huh.
like, so we never were in a house together. So
Good.
I wanted it to be, because it was a rush thing, because they all rush, love bomb you. And it was
Mhm.
such a rush thing, but I wanted to keep him separate from my children until I felt comfortable enough
Right.
to bring them in, because of what had happened before I
Yeah,
kept
that's
him
very
separate.
smart. Very, very smart thinking
Yes.
because the narcissist is, I mean, they get involved very fast. Even when they discard you, they're already living with someone else.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, so everything happens really quickly, and that's another way you can tell a healthy
Oh
person
yeah.
from a
Oh yeah.
narcissist.
They'll question why you're not introducing them to your children.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh, that's so true. Yes.
I remember that.
Wow. And so that was in the beginning. Yeah, see that puts a lot in perspective because a lot
Right.
of the times I talk to people and the children are already there,
Hmm.
you see. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's new with me hearing
Why
that.
don't you want me to meet your kid? What's the problem? You don't think
Yeah.
I'm good enough?
Hmm.
Hmm.
I mean, what, you only know him for what, a week?
Right. Right.
Right.
Our,
Exactly.
our thoughts and our, like, everything that's going on is so sacred, and if you can't trust the person around your kids, then there's no future there. Like that's like the good indication that you're not in the right place. And I mean, I think that like sometimes it's hard for us to like accept like being in a place of being alone. Like we're the type of people that like, people desire connection. It's just a part of what we are, and having someone in your life, it helps you thrive.
Mhm.
But I think about like what I've been thinking about a lot lately is ask and you shall receive, knock and the door shall be open to you, and seek and you shall find. And
True.
I think it's important that what I've been doing that prayer daily, I understand what is a physical attraction versus an emotional attraction versus a spiritual attraction.
That's true.
Mhm.
Very true. That's a good
And I think that, instead of starting with physical, because it's like what we do,
Mhm.
I think it's so important to start with spiritual. If you have
True.
a
Yeah.
spiritual connection with someone, then, and obviously like the whole everything else has to pair, love language and everything else, it's going to come together. um
Sure.
and like, as we like sort of like release these moments in our lives that have been so traumatic, like it's important to like, just like Lot's wife, like to not have an attachment to it,
Yeah.
to have it bring you back to that place in future relationships, because that's when a prayer becomes like, I don't know how to say it, but it's like it's almost like it leads you back to that path. Like
Hmm.
you circle back around until you get to the next place. And that's from my personal experience.
Mhm.
Yeah. I really hope that this channel is bringing awareness, and not only on this, the topic of narcissism, but really the spiritual aspect of narcissism. Because once again, through knowledge will the just be delivered. We have to get this knowledge to stay strong. Some of us, we're going to get hoovered. You will get hoovered.
Oh yeah.
If you're not full out blackout mode where you're undetectable, you will get hoovered
Mhm.
eventually.
It's like we have a stamp on our head to be hoovered. And now that we're on the panel, I think about all the other relationships, not just the serious ones, but the
Mhm.
ones that just kind of just fade in and out. Like I was hoovered a number of times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it just, come and like because that wasn't my type, or because I wasn't in the mood to meet someone, or friendship, female, male, whatever. Like we're hoovered. Like that's the thing to do for some folks.
I
But
remember you did talk about, you said you had that friend that
right, like I had to kind of like wean away. I only and she texted me, "Oh, we're gonna meet." She even was there giving me gifts and
oh my God.
water, and I'm like, no, 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 okay, thank you, but it's like, what?
Yeah, I'm really, just me personally, and I don't really, maybe I should share a little more personal things, but I'm really leery of people giving me gifts.
Right.
You know? Because things in the unseen realm are very real.
I'm
Yeah.
not thinking of that. And she's quickly willing to give, or, or have something things readily available for me when I get to our little spot.
Hmm.
One night a week. One night a week we get tagged.
Yeah.
You're coming, or you're gonna be there. I'm like, no, I'm not on a date with you. I'm not there to meet you. I will see you there. You don't have to wait for me in the car. Like I'll
Hmm.
see you there. Like
Hmm.
that was the whole meaning of me being single. I don't want to be in a relationship. I don't want to be married to anybody. Okay, I'll see you there. I don't want that business. I'm
So she's
happy,
more like intrusive then. We'll
right?
say
I'm
that.
happy being single, carefree. Don't make an appointment for me to be somewhere. I remember saying, "Oh, I heard her sent to her daughter on the phone." People don't think that when you're on the phone in the car, the outside can hear you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I remember parking. I remember heard somebody she was talking said, "She's late."
Oh. Pertaining to you.
Yes.
Mm.
And I'm like, and I got out of the car saying, "Who said I'm late?" "Oh, well, it was my daughter." I'm like, no, no, no. I'm never late. I'm never late for anybody. That's why I'm single and carefree. I told her to her face. I'm I'm not in a relationship before that point. I don't want it. I've been there, done that. I don't need to have somebody clock my time. I love being single. I encourage being single and being in love with yourself. To walk around naked, to do what you want to do, to say, I don't have to clock in with anybody. Because you clock in at work. I don't clock in for anybody. I don't clock in for no husband, no friend.
That is a weird dynamic when your friend is like
weird.
Yeah.
I'm just brain. Like, what are you trying to say to me? That's almost as an abusive. That's an abusive relationship to me.
Like she's trying to kind of tie you down, or maybe yeah.
So when she texted me the last couple days, are you coming to this event? Like, I'll see you there. That's what I text her. I'll see you there. Don't wait for me, because I might change my man at the last moment.
Control, yeah.
Because that's what I do as a single 60-year-old woman, semi-retired.
Yeah. and that is, and I really applaud you for being, you know, that carefree about it.
I mean, come on. No. If I wanted to be married, I'd be out there on what is that match.com looking for a mate. I don't need that.
Oh, I think those places are full of narcissists. That's
I really
playground.
What? Remember on those Dateline channels, some of them would say, "Oh, they met on Dateline."
On Match.
They met on Match.
Oh my gosh.
That turned me off when I would hear them. Like, oh, not another one. Oh, P.S. That was the last relationship that I met the person I was married.
Really?
And it come to find out that I knew in the neighborhood, I knew his mother lived in the same neighborhood. And that's why he said we were meant to be together. It wasn't through Match. It was because we found each other through this neighborhood when it was so-called met on Match. It was weird.
Wait, rewind. Because remember, and I'm sorry if we're taking up so much time, but listen, I got to put this out there. Remember when we were talking about strange coincidences?
Yes.
And if you're new to the channel, I've always said the reason and how this whole ordeal with the narcissist came to play. It was a setup from Satan. And that is why I entitled my book the way I titled it.
Yes.
Because the minions, or Satan's minions, manipulate things such as, okay, we're meant to be together because I know him from a certain neighborhood.
Right. And that's what they go back to.
Yeah.
Why are you going to leave me? You know, because we have so much in common.
In common, right. Which you really don't.
You really, really don't.
Yeah.
That was just something that happened. I don't know how it was weird. Like, it was what?
If you haven't heard my podcast, you can even listen to it on YouTube. It will blow your mind. All you have to do is just click podcast, and it'll say the relationship was a setup. And I go into familiar spirits. I tell people how these familiar spirits set up relationships that are not supposed to be together. But what they do is that they will take a coincidence. Say, for instance, I remember I shared my story. I would always see an his initials on the back of license plates of cars. And I would always see, you know, the numbers coincide of, you know, those repetitive numbers. People call them angel. No, it's all just, that's garbage. It's to get you to agree that you are supposed to be with this person. This is not a relationship sent from God. It's a setup from Satan. Yes, I said it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I said it. I had to. Because look at what you just said. There it is right there.
Yeah. I met my ex-husband in the church group.
Oh.
So I thought that it was from God.
Wow.
You know, some of the seediest people hide in congregations. That was one of the reasons why I pulled away from the church a little bit. Is I saw the underbelly of the narcissist. I mean, it's the Pharisees in the church.
Yeah.
Yes, so true.
That is 100% true. You are absolutely right.
You are.
But I'm just blown away at that Demi said, I mean, that the coincidences are uncanny. I mean, there will be things where you're meeting them and then you're like, maybe I can't look back because we've got all of this history. No, you don't.
Right.
Mhm.
So, okay, before we log off, we have one more person. Let me just see if this person is a real person or let's see. SQE, would you like to add anything?
I just want to say that I'm the same girl that's been talking to you for the last 24 hours. sharing
Hi.
stuff on Facebook. I'm Samantha.
How are you?
I am fine, and I had to come see what this was all about
I hope you're
because
enjoying yourself. Are you?
I am. I mean, it's uncanny how you can realize something about another person, and people will think you crazy when you
Mm,
say the stuff. But when
mm,
I heard you say, I kept telling my friends, I'm like, this didn't I tell y'all? This
Yeah.
lady is a doctor. I'm not no doctor, but I
Mhm.
seen it. I
Yeah.
told y'all, like, that's the
Yeah.
father of my child,
mm,
and we've been going
Oh, bless you.
3 years
mm.
with this narcissistic man.
Wow.
The social
Wow.
media, like you say, like want to be seen. Oh
Yeah.
my God. The lying, the
Mm.
manipulation.
Yes,
Oh,
the
he hates
triangulation.
boundaries.
You're not crazy.
He absolutely hate boundaries. Give him a
Wow.
boundary and watch him stay gone. Watch it ghost. Watch it get ghost.
Yeah. And
Wow.
this is so important that, I wish people would really take the time and learn this because this is a cycle. Now, this person will not change. They don't change. And when they move on to someone else or they get a new supply, they act the same way. That person will go through it. So, this is not anything that is just singled out because of you. It is how they are. This is a real disorder. This is
I have watched it, and you're not lying. I have watched since we've been together 3 years, him do the same thing to three different women, not include
see.
me. 'Cause I'm that far of a fool. Like
Wow.
you can get sucked up to like a person, but I feel like the kind of woman that I am, I won't change my standards for you because you need to up in your standards, and I don't need to lower
Mm.
mine.
Right.
Yes,
I
that's
have
so
watched
very
him
true.
start driving their cars. They buy him clothes. Oh,
See?
he flodge. The minute that they get tired of taking care of him or tell him no, he right back
He's
over here in
gone.
my face.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
he know I'm not gonna let him drive my car. He know I'm not gonna give him no money. I gotta
Is it just me or is the phone going out?
It's
Can you?
going up.
Oh, okay. Where are you? Okay, Samantha, the phone went out. It sounded like you're driving or anything, but if you're able to, if you can hear me, say yes before I close out.
Uh-oh.
I don't think she can hear me. Okay, and also, Jessica. Oh yeah, she says I was listening to that waiting for tonight. Yeah, I'm going to finish after this episode. It's so true. Yes, it is very true. Once you get the knowledge and understand how these familiar spirits work and to how they actually set us up and set people up, you are going to your eyes will be open. Trust
Mm.
me. Does anybody have any closing remarks?
Get the book. When Satan Plays Matchmaker. Love it.
The book is so important. It's
Yes.
just like I don't know. It's just like you turn the pages and it really speaks to you. And I think it's very powerful that the person in Audible like felt moved by it. I'm sure that like really adds to the atmosphere of the book.
Yes. And thank you so very much. Okay, we're just going to end with a quick prayer because I know I kept you guys long enough. And I'm so grateful for everyone spending their Wednesday night right here on the channel and I'm thankful for the panel. Thank you so very much. Okay, so you're welcome. Thank you for being here. It really, I mean, I look forward to these Wednesdays. I definitely do. And
Yes.
so if you didn't catch the whole thing, you can always replay this under live on YouTube. Just look under the tab lives and it should pop right up. Okay. So first we're going to close out in prayer. Father, we come to you. with praise and thanksgiving. Father, we recognize that you alone, you are the one who took us out of that toxic waste of a relationship.
Yes.
And thank you so much for opening our eyes. Thank you for giving us your word and your truth. Father, your word declares that no weapon formed against us shall prosper.
Right.
And we are to condemn every evil word coming up against us in judgment. Right now, Father, we condemn all evil tongues risen up against us in judgment. All evil words spoken over our lives, spoken over our children's lives, spoken over our family. Father, we condemn those words. They will never take shape in our life,
That's right.
ever.
Ever.
Father, we thank you so much for bringing us out of that wicked city, that wicked relationship. We open our hearts to your word. We bind our faith to your plans. We know that your plans for us is to prosper. You would never steer us wrong. And we look forward to whatever you have for us. For those of us who want marriage, we know that you will connect us to the right mate. For those of us who are happy being single, we thank you, Father, for giving us for for giving us the wherewithal to be, content being single. Thank you so much, Father, for just having our fellowship tonight. And I pray that just like how you did me, open up our viewers' eyes, even if they're listening on the replay, open up their thirst for knowledge. Father, we do this all, and we ask all of this in the mighty and matchless name of Yahushua HaMashiach, or who the world calls Jesus of Nazareth. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening in. And I will be right back here every Wednesday, 7 p.m. YouTube. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.